What's going on? Today we're going to be talking about To Prevail. Why are we talking about this band in particular? Because they've been putting out some new material for their highly anticipated new album coming out soon, and well, I've been seeing this weird discourse online. I've been seeing a lot of comments about them not being deathcore enough and incorporating too much nu metal into their tracks, and people not digging the songs. Now, I want to preface this by saying that their Spotify and YouTube numbers have been through the roof. I think they've been #1 most listened to deathcore band on Spotify for a little while now. And I mean, generally speaking, you look at the like to dislike ratios on their videos and stuff, people are digging it. This isn't like made out to be like a big drama and the downfall of To Prevail or whatever, but I have been seeing a lot of comments about people not digging it as much as they'd like to, and I thought I'd just kind of get into that because I find it pretty interesting, and I think there's some stuff to unpack in there, so let's get into it. I honestly didn't think I was going to make a video about this, so I don't have like a ton of receipts. Usually would kind of screen grab and screenshot things as they come up, but I didn't do that. So we're going to go off of this Reddit post that I found a couple of days ago that kind of made me think I wanted to make a video about it. So it reads, To Prevail have really gone shit recently, in my opinion. The band sounds like an attempt at making some kind of trap metal or nu metal, which doesn't really cut it anymore for me in general or for being a deathcore band. Sounds borderline generic with horrible lyrics, and the only thing saving it is its good artists in the band, such as Alex. Which is super ironic to mention that the lyrics are horrible, but the only thing saving the band is the singer. Unlike Demolisher and previous releases, I could find myself actually enjoying them. This is just trap metal. Edit, the song isn't horrible, just bad. All right, and I just want to go through, I had these two comments down here that I thought were interesting. It's not really my cup of tea, but it is miles less generic than their old material. Their debut album is about as basic and cliche as music in this genre gets. Alex's vocals and the always stellar drumming are its only real saving graces. I've got a lot to say about this little section. And the other one... I agree, To Prevail was really good, and technically they still are, but this trap metal cop-off is just bad. I understand Alex has been working on his singing voice, but turning it into some groovy trap beat is just ugh. I hate rap and stuff, so I was immediately turned off. Sounds similar to Slipknot and worse than Attila. Okay, so we've got a few things to unpack here, and I just wanted to start off with, I guess maybe this comment right here, talking about how their debut album is about as basic and cliche as music in the genre gets. Now, I see this a lot, and this is something we touched on when talking about Violator's Murder on the latest podcast I did with Cedric, and basically... this guy is saying that their album that was put out 7 years ago, a time when slam and deathcore did not really coexist, that album, which is deathcore with a lot of slam in it, sounds as basic and cliche as music in this genre gets. And yeah, it does, if you listen to it today. But they were one of the first bands doing it. The only other sort of bands that were doing this sort of stuff was like Acrania, which is Jack's, the guitarist's other band. So it's always weird to me how bands kind of pioneer and really are part of a movement in a new wave of a new trend or a new genre. And further down the line, people will say that their old material is generic because now everybody's doing it. Every deathcore band has slam incorporated into their songs in one way or another. That's just how things are in 2021. And that makes To Prevail's older material look and sound generic, which I just have always found weird. And the irony in all this is the fact that Slaughter to Prevail putting out music 7 years later is adding more stuff into their music because they know that if they put out the exact same thing, people are going to call them out for being basic and cliche and generic. So that's where the nu metal comes in. That's where the trap beats come in. That's where all these new things incorporated into the music, that's where it comes in. In terms of trap metal and nu metal and all that, I mean, go to Alex Terrible's page for 1 second and look at the videos he's put out in the past year. Aside from I'm going to get rid of that first row because it's all Slaughter to Prevail. What do we've got here? He's covering Hatebreed, Rammstein, Mudvayne, Slipknot, another Slipknot song, Linkin Park, another Slipknot song, Pantera, System of a Down. I mean, the only deathcore song in here is the Suicide Silence cover, and everything else is like nu metal or hard rock. He loves it. I mean, this shouldn't be a surprise. And I've seen a lot of discourse. I don't have any examples of this, but I've seen it a lot. People blaming the guitarist of the band for being the only one that's putting this nu metal twist on the band, where very clearly this is like a group effort. Like everyone's on board with this. All these people enjoy nu metal and wanted to find a way to incorporate it a bit into their music at the risk of them sounding different and them not sounding like another hashed up version of their material they put out 7 years ago and being called generic and boring. So that's my take on just the like nu metalness of it all. Alex and the drummer are very solid, but the guitar player ruins it everything with generic Slipknot playing and uninspired songwriting. Like if the drummer was doing blast beats over it, it wouldn't sound like a nu metal riff. And if Alex wasn't doing his vocals the way he was doing, it wouldn't sound nu metal either. So it's so weird to me. Unlike Demolisher and previous releases that I could find myself actually enjoying, this is just trap metal, blah, 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 blah. Demolisher and Agony are still there. They still exist. The old albums still exist too. You can still listen to it. And if we're judging off of what they've put out so far, I mean, it's still pretty damn deathcore, and some of the singles have had a bit more of a nu metal, trap metal vibe to them. But I'd be willing to bet that most of the album is going to be deathcore, like slam-infused deathcore. I would put good money on that. So I wouldn't be all up in arms just yet. Wait till you listen to the full album. I haven't heard it. I don't know. But I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of Demolisher and a lot of Agony, and maybe it's going to be half and half, but even if it is half and half, that's still like a solid 6-7 songs that are going to be super enjoyable. That's kind of my take on it. And like I said earlier, this isn't really like a big drama or anything. They've been doing really, really, really well for themselves. And I'm super stoked actually to see how this band has been able to rise. They've always got like a big following, but this year, man, with the new singles, it's just been absolutely insane to watch. And I'm really excited to see what kind of tours these guys get to be on when touring actually opens back up internationally for the boys. So and I did recently listen to an interview with their guitarist Jack Simmons on the Punk Rock NBA with Finn McKenty. I'll link to that whatever, like up here. And it was actually a really interesting conversation that they had, mainly about the band and how they've been promoting it and the merch game and a bit of the business side as well. And he does talk a bit about just wanting to get in front of as many eyeballs as possible, and if it means doing some more accessible music to try and get people into the genre, that's kind of what they're looking to do. So I found that actually super cool, because like I said, their heavier stuff still exists and all the other heavy bands still exist. Most of those songs are heavy. They just have parts that that are more accessible. So it might bring more attention to the genre, more people into the genre, and I think that's just all around good for the scene in general. So I highly recommend you check that out. It was a super interesting listen. It came out not too long ago, so still pretty relevant, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. All right, peace. Bye. Yo, I've got a Discord server if you want to go check it out, where we talk about music and all discover new music and stuff like that, you know. And you could like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon, huh? I'll see you there.